Still tuned in to News and Views, and this is our hashtag Gaza Focus feature where we center the voices of Palestinians living through Israel's war on Gaza, people that are experiencing in real time a genocide of their people, humanity's darkest hour that is being live streamed from all across the globe. And we're going to be having someone that's very, very interesting, a friend of the station. The last time we spoke to him, this Abubaker Abed, he was still inside Gaza. He was in Deir el-Balah the last time we had him on air, and he was essentially reporting under bombardment. It was the beginning stages of Israel's blockade on aid, and even then, the situation was dire. Families were starving. Hospitals were collapsing and journalists were being killed. And today, Abubakar joins us from Ireland. He's one of the few who managed to leave Gaza, carrying with him, I think, was very, very important. The weight of what and who he left behind. And we're going to be speaking to him now about, the latest regarding this genocide, the heartbreak of displacement, surviving and living through a genocide, and just continuing to tell Gaza's story, but this time around from afar. And he's joining us via a virtual platform. Abubakar, assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Great to be speaking to you, but from Ireland this time around, not from Deir el-Balah.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here again. And yeah, it's Ireland. It's another place. I never expected that I would be talking to you from this place, but yeah, here we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, no, here we are. I think that's the reality that we presented with. And I want you, maybe if we can kickstart the conversation from that point, if you can quickly just take us back to the moment the decision was made for you to leave Gaza. What was going through your mind at the time? Um, I know this might sound like a silly question, but what informed the decision to leave? Because for a lot of Palestinians that I've interacted with, that I've spoken with, leaving is never an easy choice. It's never the first thing that they think about, even given the circumstances that they're facing.
Yeah, I think what was going through my mind is first, will I ever return again? Because now we're seeing the systematic ethnic cleansing of Palestinians inside the Gaza Strip. And a lot of people, of those who were forced to leave Gaza, are aware of the fact that they may not return again. And that's a very haunting question for and excuse me, and that's a
Mm.
very haunting question for me. And I always ask myself, like, I really want to get back again to Gaza because it's my homeland. It's where I was born. It's where I lived my whole life, despite the horrors that I was subjected to. But on that day when I left Gaza, I think about all the things around me. That will I see them again? Will I see my family again? Will I embrace my mother again? Will I embrace my father again? So these questions, for me, were the most critical ones that I really wanted to answer. And I left knowing and realizing that I may never, or that I might never come back again here. So it's a very agonizing and antagonizing decision. It's not an easy decision to make because it was really like, you're going to separate your heart from, or to separate your body from your heart. And that's what is happening right now. I feel like I have two parts of myself. My heart is still in Gaza, but my body, I'm just physically here, but emotionally, I'm still in Gaza and thinking about my family. So, this kind of decision, because I didn't leave because of thinking of my safety, but honestly, I was thinking about my family because I was intimidated and smeared by the Israelis on social media many times, and probably also that. And for me, I felt that I was going to be hit by and assassinated by the Israeli war genocide machine, and I didn't want to harm my family. I didn't want to harm people around me, and that's why I was forced or compelled to make or to take this decision. And here I am in Ireland. I'm trying to do something, but the genocide, most importantly, the genocide is still ongoing, which is horrifically heartbreaking. And we're seeing the deliberate starvation of an entire population and the continued killings and dehumanization of all people in Gaza, specifically children. The signs of malnutrition when I was in Gaza were exceptionally high. Now, you can't really imagine how how things are going for Palestinians, as they are deprived of everything. They're deprived of basic necessities. They're deprived of their life, their whole life. They haven't lived for, I said, they haven't had a single moment of life for the past 610 days, and plus that, more than that even. And the ceasefire, the fragile, very fragile ceasefire, was some sort of a respite for them, but then it was shattered by the Israeli regime. So all those things that we're thinking about are making things very difficult, not only for me, but also for my family who are still trapped in Gaza, and for everyone who's still stuck in the territory. So it's a very, very difficult decision to leave Gaza knowing that you may not return again.
Mm, And I follow you very avidly on X, and I follow some of the stories and the interviews that you make. And there's one thing that you mentioned in one of the interviews that you had, where you mentioned that even your own mother felt your presence endangered the family. How did that conversation eventually, add into shaping your decision to leave Gaza, and how did it even come about when you have that kind of conversation with your mother, and it comes off like that? She essentially says,
Of
"We
course,
feel like you need to go."
yeah, of course. Like this is why this is of course why I left. This is the only reason why I left, because like I was hesitant about my decision, and I didn't really want to leave Gaza because I felt I had a duty to continue in Gaza. I have a religious and Islamic duty and a duty towards my homeland, and I desperately wanted to fight. I wanted to die for the sake of the liberation of Palestine, for the sake of helping my people. However, then when my mom approached me saying these words, I was left stunned, and I didn't have the words to reply, because my
Mm,
mother felt like I was a danger to them and I was a danger to the family, and she didn't want me to stay at all. So when my mother, this sort of conversation is very heartbreaking and very traumatizing, and I still can't really get past it or absorb it. But this is the reality, because my mother thinks further than what I think. She thinks about the safety of the family. She thinks about the safety of me as well. She wants me to be safe. She doesn't want to see me in pieces, or died, or what, or dying, or whatever. So that's why she told me this, and I understand that. But it's still a very unbearable feeling to hear your mother directing these words at you. And that's a feeling no one can really understand, because I went through it and I know what it means when your mother tells you such words. So for me, on a personal level, I think I would be very, I'm happy that they are safe. I'm happy that I'm away from them
mm,
because of that. But other than that, I'm truly, truly heartbroken. But yes, this is why. This is the main reason why I needed to leave, because I didn't want to harm anyone of my family or the loved ones I had in Gaza. So it was obligatory to leave Gaza, and that was needed, and that's why I left.
mm, mm. The conversation around trauma and survivor's guilt, I suppose, if I can put it that way, comes a lot, especially when I'm talking to Palestinians. You've said yourself also that you are a physical survivor, but not an emotional one. What are some of the images or experiences from Gaza that continue to haunt you from this day, and that you just can't escape from, despite being away from the place that you called home for a very, very long time, your whole life essentially?
Well, there are countless images, given the fact that I was a reporter, because I trekked all around Gaza and reported from every single part of the strip. There are loads and loads and hundreds of messages, hundreds of messages from people, and of images and of videos that I took myself while trekked around Gaza. Because houses are destroyed, neighborhoods are wiped out, families are wiped out. The scenes of shattered bodies, and the scenes of the scenes of dismembered and disfigured children's bodies and burned, and those children one time during the genocide they were burned alive and they were incinerated. Those scenes are still haunt me all time, and I can't believe that I'm still in Ireland without the sound of the buzzing of the drones. I feel like there's something wrong. I'm not used to staying in calm or uh to even just like think that I'm safe here, because like
Mm,
even here in Ireland, when I hear an airplane, a civilian airplane, I feel traumatized because I feel that it's going to bomb somewhere nearby. And for me, I still have those images in my mind, particularly during the night hours, that there will be a bombing nearby, because that's what I lived through it in Gaza. So this kind of things and the feeling of guilt and the feeling of remorse is unprecedented and something that I never imagined to have. Although I'm relatively safe here, but
mm.
it is still a huge trauma that I can't really describe in words.
Mm, And I don't think I can even start imagining, just being in a different space and things that are supposed to be normal, like the silence of not having drones hover above your head, feeling abnormal to you. Um, I want to touch on, something that has to do with this blockade, the starvation by design that you have coined. Now that you have access to those basic necessities, food, clean water, medicine, things that should be basic rights for every human being. How are you processing that disparity? Knowing, some of your family, some of your friends remain in Gaza, looking from the outside and watching on the telly like everyone else and witnessing that. How are you processing that disparity between having and not having at that scale?
I really find no joy in having food and having whatever I have, because my body has been fragile and fatigued for the past 560 days. In addition to that, you cannot really tell me to enjoy something when I was starved, deliberately starved in Gaza, and I didn't have, as you just mentioned, they didn't have the simplest of human rights, or the basic rights, or the basic necessities. So it was for me very unendurable and intolerable, because coming here in Ireland and seeing this kind of luxury and this, met all of this like these basic necessities that are flooding the markets. I really cannot believe that my people in Gaza are still deprived of all of this. I really can't still process that. And I feel like there is something absolutely wrong here and in Gaza, like how people are still enjoying this abundance of food and abundance of everything, when there is a whole population who cannot find a single piece of bread. It's illogical, it's irrational, it's unacceptable. It must be unacceptable, but the world has allowed this. So for me, I
Mm,
cannot find the joy. And as you just mentioned, I sometimes feel very guilty that I have clean water, that I have access to these basic rights, while my own family, my brothers, my sisters, my parents do not have access to those very simplest human rights, or basic or
All right. Looks like we have lost Abubakar there for a moment. I think we're going to take a quick break. We'll try and get him back because I think it's very, very important points that he's mentioning. But when we return, we'll continue that very, very important conversation with Abubakar Abed. Stay tuned.
Boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
For too many communities across Africa and the world, access to clean water remains a dream. At Africa Muslims Agency, we dig deep, reaching into the heart of the earth to fill the cups of those in need. Sponsor a water well for 16,000.
Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact 010184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
There are over 200 million orphans globally. We can't help all of them, but what if we each helped just one? The Al-Imdad Foundation now gives you an opportunity to help just one orphan from Syria or Palestine. For just 500 Rand per month, you can help safeguard the dignity of an orphan by assisting them with basic needs such as food, clothing, shelter, medical care, and attention. Our orphan sponsorship program allows you to track the progress of your orphan through regular feedback. Make a difference in the life of an orphan today. Visit alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness. And every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and free zakat calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Make a conscious choice, sip for change, and support Palestine Drinks Africa. With every can, you help end the genocide and stand in solidarity with Palestine. Choose between our original or sugar-free options, available in a case of 24. Every sip is a step towards justice. Every purchase, a powerful message of unity and support for the Palestinian cause. Contact 082 888-1440 or 082-7739-556 today and be part of the change. Palestine Drinks Africa. Sip for change. Liberty for everyone.
Searching for elite local and international investment and advisory services from an award-winning firm? Look no further than the Belmont Mayer Group, your gateway to unparalleled investment and wealth management. At Belmont Mayer, we believe in the art of wealth creation, a meticulous process fueled by our unwavering commitment to excellence. With a focus on providing elite alternative investments and quality advice, we also pride ourselves on maximizing value for our esteemed investors, as seen through our consistent outperformance. Your financial success is our top priority. Join us at Belmont Mayer and experience the difference firsthand. Ready to embark on a journey of greatness? Contact us today. Reach out to the Belmont Mayer Group on 078-786-1698. Call or WhatsApp or email us at info@belmontmayer.com. Elevate your financial future with Belmont Mayer, where every detail matters.
We should put our entire faith in Allah, and our main purpose is to go and visit Masjid al-Aqsa, which is the heart of that particular region and which is in the control, of the Yahud at this particular time, standing by the gates and everything. Having that intention in mind and reading Salah, imploring Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness and imploring Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the journey easy. We just got to take the first step. We have to build our yaqeen and our iman that Allah is in control. Many times you feel to yourself that, first it is that the wrong people are there, they are in charge and they'll do this and they'll do this here. I remember the very first time when I went, I had a turban on my head and my colleagues told me, you're going to be facing, at that time there was the Afghanistan crisis as well. So the turban was a very prominent feature. And believe you me, from the 14 of us, I was the first one given permission and I went on to the other side. So the point to say here is that put our yaqeen and faith in Allah.
Accompanying the tour party, our respected, our honorable Maulana Musa Akudi as the spiritual guide.
Salam Media, a global voice for humanity. Lifeline. Connect and stay ahead.
Gaza survive. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views right here on Salam Media with myself, Salam Makwide. Still our Gaza in Focus feature, and we're still having a conversation with Abubaker Abed. I know he has to run, but I think the most
it was cut off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries at all. Before you were cut off, I wanted to move on to, I think, a very, very important aspect and part of this genocide. There's been more than 300 journalists that have been killed in Gaza, including your colleague, someone that was close to you, Hassan Islahi. Just give us some more, some insight on what did Hassan mean to you personally and professionally, and what should we make about this deliberate attack on the ears and eyes of Gaza, which is the press, which is the journalists that are working in Gaza at this current moment?
Hassan was the epitome of kindness, of professionalism, of journalism, and of everything. I was learning from him, to be honest, not only on a professional level, but also on a personal level, because he was too kind to people. He was very kind to people, very warm and very, very welcoming. I'm sorry. And Hassan never was always focused on helping people more than just doing some sort of journalism. So although he was always engaging with journalism or with his journalism, he was always tied up with it because he was constantly he was a truly indefatigable reporter. But Hassan was also keen to help as many people as he can. So he was publishing the plays all the time. He was helping them with his own money. He was helping people and families who are poor and who don't have a single piece of bread in Gaza. He was living, his house was destroyed. He sacrificed his house. He sacrificed many of his family members before he was even killed. And although there were smear campaigns made against him and death incitements raised and circulating against him, he never stopped, and he continued reporting. He continued covering the truth and exposing the Israeli war crimes despite all the threats. And he felt that he was going to be targeted. And the first time he was he was injured, he also told the media that he was going to be targeted even if he was at a hospital. So you can say, for me, Hassan, I remember he never, despite the horrors and the terror that is inflicted upon the people of Gaza, he still has a lot of, lots of kindness. He still has a job and a duty to do all the time. He still had everything to be hopeful about. He always had a smile on his face, and he never said no to anyone. He was never unhappy, despite all the horrifying circumstances under which people were living, and despite the fact that he was living in a simple tent. He was not living in an apartment, although he could live in an apartment, but he was more keen to help people rather than just stay or live high on the hog. So it was absolutely, as I told you, the essence of kindness, the essence of professionalism. He taught journalism to, he taught loads of students and loads of journalists who are now reporting the Gaza genocide journalism. He directed them on the way, and he directed them on the way, and he always supported the journalism. He was very humble, very courageous. I mean, no matter how long I will talk about Hassan Slayer, he's just an incredible human being. And regarding the other part of your question, it's very significant to know there are more than 250 journalists, sorry, there are more than 220 journalists killed in Gaza right now. And the world has allowed this. The peers of us who are in the Western world have allowed this as well, because they've been silent and they've been giving consent for the Israeli military to continue and speed up its genocide in Gaza. So as long as the world and the international community and the international media organizations all across the globe stay silent on the deliberate murders of journalists in Gaza, then this will happen again and again and again. And I could have been one of them at any point, and I'm very lucky and I'm very fortunate to have survived, to be honest. So I can tell you, like, these attacks on journalists and these assassinations just indicate the level of terrorism Israel has been inflicting upon people, because the Gazans and people who live in Gaza have been afflicted with every sort of pain. They have been afflicted with the grief and horror every single day. And for those journalists, they're not journalists only, they are fathers. Hassan Slaya was a father, he has a wife, he has children. Those now children are orphaned. This wife now is a widow because of Israel, because of what Israel has done. And this is the same for other journalists. They are brothers, they are wives, they are daughters, they are sons. But people think that journalists are just journalists. No, I wasn't only a journalist, I was a son. I was looking for water, I was looking for food. And that's what I did. That's what I was doing in Gaza. So we bear huge responsibility besides our journalism. And this kind of journalism that we're doing under threats. We're doing this journalism under constant threats in the most unimaginable and the most terrible circumstances anyone can imagine, because we work in makeshift tinted workplaces. We work with no electricity, with no communications. We're working while being starved, fatigued, and incredibly tired and exhausted and worn out. So you can just imagine that this attack must stop, that people have to globalize, people have to escalate, and there must be protection from international media organizations for the Palestinian journalists, because they have been targeted systematically and purposefully over the course of the genocide. So it's a huge loss, and probably the hugest loss. Every loss that we had among the journalists and among the people in Gaza is the hugest loss. But Hassan was just something special for the population, because he always helped them. And everyone is still, or can't still believe that Hassan was murdered by Israel. But this is what Israel is doing. It is going to attack people inside hospitals, outside hospitals, everywhere, because everywhere in Gaza is not safe. And everyone in Gaza is not safe.
And when you speak about journalists, I think you make a very, very important point, because for the longest time, people would almost separate the journalists from the true lived realities. When we see you guys behind the mic with your press verse on, we understand the danger that you might not be killed, but I don't think the world fully internalized that when there's a blockade, there's no food, there's no water, you guys and your families are going through the same thing. And I think that's something that should start filtering through, to the whole world, that, we get you guys behind the mic, but there's so much suffering that you guys are also going through. Just finally, before I let you go, if the world is listening right now, what do you want to tell them? What do you want the world to know about Gaza that maybe the headlines alone can't truly capture?
I think there are many stories, because as journalists, we cannot really cover every story, but there are many heartbreaking stories that haven't been told. People have to understand, have to capture our pain behind the news, the headlines, behind the news, because the news will just tell you how many were killed, how many houses were destroyed, the death toll and the starvation levels. But what does it mean to be starved in Gaza? This is what people have to understand. Imagine that when you are in South Africa, for example, or elsewhere across the globe, when you don't have, for example, deprive yourself of every kind of food, tell yourself that today I'm not going to have anything, I'm just going to fast and have one single piece of bread, then you will feel our pain. So I just want people to feel our pain and to understand what it means to be in Gaza under the bombings, and that at any time you could be killed, at any time you could really die because of the starvation, at any time you could lose, you could be the grieving, you could be the griever, you could be the mourner. So those feelings are truly unbearable. So I want people to know, the world to know, that after allowing this genocide to continue for more than 610 days, that it is their moral duty to stop it and to globalize, to stop it and to tackle their governments and attack the governments in terms of fueling the genocide in Gaza, because it's absolutely enough. People cannot bear it anymore. The situation has now gone up to unprecedented levels of suffering and trauma, and people are starting to lose their minds. So this is one of the things that we need to understand. So just for people who are listening to me right now, you must feel our pain. Feel our pain, because our pain is not that simple. It's not simple. It's not just about being killed or being starved, but it's beyond the news. There are simple intricacies of what it means to be in Gaza, what it means to be starved, what it means to be killed, what it means to grieve a loss, what it means to be a mourner, what it means and what it means. So these questions is just ask yourself these questions to understand more about the context of what it means to pay unimaginable prices, unreasonable prices and exorbitant prices just to get one onion. One onion in Gaza right now costs around $30. One kilo of meat costs around $100. So these questions of people, like my message to the international community and to people listening to us and to the world, is very simple. Feel our pain, because we're simply human beings, and our pain is not simple.
Mm, mm, mm. And when you talk about your pain, one would expect that the people that are supposed to feel it a little bit more than the rest of the world is Arab countries, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. But we see these countries essentially colluding and getting into bed, with the United States of America, with Israel. Is there still a need? Is there still a call, to quote unquote Muslim countries, Arab countries, to fully act, against Israel, to make statements that show intent about their stance on Palestine, or it's a lost cause? Their silence, their inaction in itself tells us more than we need to know.
I think for me, as a Palestinian in Gaza, or as a Palestinian who's just fled Gaza recently, I don't believe in the Arab world anymore, and the Muslim world in particular has led down the Gaza Strip has let us down, unfortunately. So I don't think I have hope in them anymore, but I have hope in the young generations and the people of those tyrant countries. And I hope there must be. I hope something will happen to stop the ongoing genocide. But I don't know what to say. But of course, like what is happening, what is transpiring right now in Gaza, is beyond imagination, and people have been silent, extremely silent, on the mass murder of Palestinians, innocent people, particularly children, have been crushed by the Israeli genocidal machine. But then, what else would you want from this world? All the international laws have been a joke. All the associations or human rights associations have failed the Gazan people. Humanity has failed the people of Gaza, because this shouldn't have spanned for over 610 days. So it's a tragedy. It's beyond tragedy, and that's what I can tell you. Like I believe there will be a change. I'm very hopeful about the future more than the present, because people and the young people now understand that their countries are tyrant, and that their countries have been racist and have been discriminate, have been very much like oppressive and subjugating entire marginalized countries around the globe, including Gaza, Lebanon, Sudan. So this level of racism and discrimination is lethal for entire populations when you call out on the erasure of full people or full populations. That's absolutely insane and unacceptable. So I hope something will happen, and I have belief and I have hope. But I think in the Arab world after 600 days, you cannot really now see a Palestinian flag, or you cannot see a protest outside. So all of these things are really hard to imagine.
No, definitely. I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope to chat to you again in the not so distant future. A little bird is whispering in my ear that you might be coming to South Africa soon. So I want to teach you a South African word.
Okay, definitely.
Say salagahle sizobonana.
No, I'm not gonna say this. Very hard.
Okay. Salagahle
Salagale
sizobonana.
Sibudanana.
Means keep well. We'll see you soon.
What does that mean?
It means keep well. We'll see you soon.
Okay, so but English is the spoken language in South Africa.
Yeah, English is the first language. But then we have 11 other languages if you factor in sign language also. So we have sign language as another official language. But we have 10 other languages plus sign language plus English, which makes it 12 official languages.
Oh God. Okay, I'm gonna explore a lot.
We'll teach you. Don't stress. Cheers, Abubaker. Jazakallah so much. You've been an inspiration, and you have a home in South Africa. Palestinians have a home in South Africa. We hold the story of the people of Palestine quite close to our hearts. I think we relate to it more than anyone in the world. And never forget that you have a home in South Africa.
And make sure that we have mutual feelings.
Definitely. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
There you go. That was, I think, an amazing young man, Abubaker Abed, young journalist who just left Gaza, a few months ago. His story, I think, brings into sharp focus the human cost of the blockade, ongoing conflict, from the brink of starvation, essentially, and being under constant threat, and having his mother tell him, you're appearing too much on the TV. You're appearing too much on the news. You have to leave. You're putting all of us in danger. And he made that agonizing choice to leave his home, a choice no one should ever have to make. So yeah, as Abubaker continues to speak from afar, we remain committed to sharing these very, very vital stories here on Salam Media, because behind every headline, there are real lives and real resilience. There's people like Abubaker who sometimes I feel like, because they are journalists, we tend to forget that whatever they're reporting on, the numbers that you're seeing, they might be on the ground in Gaza, but they are affected by it themselves. When there's a blockade, when there's water not being allowed, there's no medication, there's systematic starvation and erasure of a people because you failed with the gun, Israeli government, the next best thing is to make sure that they starve to death. They're targeting the journalists also. So I think that's one thing to keep in mind when you look at Abubaker. Big smile on his face and island now, that there's a deep-seated trauma, a trauma that will never be erased. A young man who's seen some of the most atrocious, inhumane acts we've ever seen in recent human memory. And these kind of stories need to be told, and will be the platform for those kind of stories to be told. So stay with us on Salam Media as we keep you connected to Gaza and the voices that too often go silenced. And watch the space. There may be more from Abubaker later this year, maybe here in South Africa. Who knows? My name is Salalu Makudera. It's been another great one. Thank you so much for staying with us. Shap.